So hi, yeah, my name is Will. I, like has already been said, I did German when I was a student at SMU, as well as a business degree, but I knew pretty much off the bat that I did not want to work in business. So I got the business degree because I knew it would be great. And I went on a Fulbright fellowship. So that was kind of like the first step in my post-uni career using my German language. At the time that I finished, I wouldn't say totally fluent in German, which is why I wanted to live in Germany. And I think Fulbright is a really great option for a lot of people. The teaching assistantships are easier to get than the research grants, obviously. Although, as we are probably aware, how far Fulbright is going to go in the current administration is kind of up in the air. So I don't really know how feasible that is going to be, unfortunately, in the future. But if it is still there, then it would be a really great option to go. When I was in Germany, I had all of these grand plans to stay in Germany and do a master's. And so, if anyone in the chat speaks German, Germany is a really great place to do further education because it is so cheap to work and to live there, to study and to live there. You don't pay any tuition fees at German institutions, even as an international student. And but for Germany and for the UK, which I'll talk about in a minute, the easiest way I think to get in is to do some sort of graduate program. That is the easiest way to streamline a visa and then get in the country. And then once you're there inside the country, it's a bit easier to hang on, I think. Um, but obviously, I couldn't have done a master's in Germany without having my German language skills. So living in Germany that year really got me up to scratch. I could have also stayed on and done a second Fulbright year. So Fulbright can sometimes get you 2 years in a place rather than just one, if you're not really sure, which that was also an option I was considering. But I was always really interested in history, even though I didn't major in it at SMU. And so, but because of the liberal arts style education, I obviously had history classes on my German degree. So I knew I wanted to do some Holocaust history. That was kind of the programs I was looking at in Germany. I had friends who were spending time at the University of Oxford um, while I was living in Germany. So I took a visit and ended up kind of scratching my Germany plans and moving to the UK. But I could not have moved to the UK without that language degree, I don't think, particularly for modern Europeanists like myself. You cannot do history without speaking another language. And really, the only way to speak a second language to the extent that you need to really work and write in it in a PhD is to do a language degree. So it's you suddenly have a lot of options open if you do a language degree when it comes to doing masters and PhDs. So I started with a master's, and the only and I speaking to my supervisor, who's now my friend because I've known her for 7 years now. I She would not have taken me on had I not already spoken German and French. You don't always need two. You can sometimes just have one, and that's totally fine. Um, but that also made my life so much easier. It made my work so much as of a higher caliber because I could access all these sources that I couldn't if I was only working in English. Um, I also kind of my own accord turned out to translating as well. So I don't have, a certificate or a master's or anything in translation studies, but because I am fluent in German, I am now a published German to English translator. So that is also something you can do professionally, working for like a university press, or any sort of scholastic press, or you can do it kind of freelance on the side, which is what I do. I do freelance academic translation for people in my field, which is a really great way to support my income as well. Yeah, so German, French, and then I actually went on to do other languages as well. Yiddish and Hebrew or are also languages that I'm competent research wise in. And obviously learning languages helps you learn more, particularly languages in the same family like Yiddish is a German kind of cognate language, so it's very easy to pick up. Yeah, so I'm gonna quit yapping. I've been going for 5 minutes, but I think that's probably enough for me. I would say master's programs are really great. PhD programs are really great ways to get in. The main difference, particularly in the UK, quickly with PhD programs, is that they are 3 to 4 years long rather than 6 to 8. So you do a master's, you find out exactly what you want to do, and then you can jump into a PhD and you can get it done and get working much quicker than you could in the United States. And since Brexit, when the UK left the European Union, American students are now eligible for a lot of funding that you were not eligible for PhDs beforehand in the United Kingdom, which is really great. So whereas when I started my PhD, I was not eligible for a lot of funding opportunities, now American students can get access a lot of funding that you wouldn't have before Brexit. So that opens up another possibility for you there. Obviously, you're not going to be speaking probably a foreign language in the UK, but if you want to get out of the States and get closer to Europe, the UK is a really great option.
So I'm actually from Albuquerque, New Mexico. So a big part of our curriculum, you're required to take Spanish from first grade up until you graduate high school. So we took Spanish that entire time. So I kind of knew post high school that wherever I was going to go, I wanted to continue the language because it's a big part of my upbringing, big part of the culture growing up in New Mexico. And it's really like all we really knew as a part of our academic curriculum. So I knew coming to SMU, I did the dual degree. I did Cox, I did Spanish, and then I also did sports management as kind of hey, I'm a big sports nerd. So I wanted to like get a hobby in there as well. Um, and honestly, the Spanish department for me was an incredible experience. I got to study abroad after my freshman year in Spain. I did the summer program in Sevilla, and that's kind of where I found my passion because you're required to do an internship to get your dual credit. And being able to work in a place where you don't fully know the language or you're not fully aware, sorry, for the background noise, you don't fully know, oh, I don't know how to say like taxonomy in Spanish, but like kind of learning in that situation is kind of how you build those skills and feel comfortable enough to have more day-to-day conversations in that professional setting. So that summer internship kind of really sparked me to be like, I could see Spanish as being a big part of my professional life. And funny enough, it was the Spanish degree, not even, the Cox degree that kind of led me into working for the Bears. And that was my job post-graduation. I moved to Chicago. Again, a really big Latin population there. So very easy to kind of mix and mingle there and meet new people because moving to a new city is hard. And the big reason I got that job was because the NFL now has a program where they're expanding globally. So every team kind of has a connection with another country. So like I'm an Eagles fan, so the Eagles have like Australia, the Bears have Spain, the Dolphins have Germany and Spain and Brazil. So like they're really trying to expand, and that's kind of where the language part comes in. And a big reason they kind of took me was because I was the only one who spoke Spanish. So I was with my boss, we were kind of consulting to like what stadium would the Bears play in when they do play in Spain? Where can they go? How do we translate with people who are kind of, like Real Madrid team is working with these random Americans, and how are we going to kind of get football to broadcast to soccer fans or football there. So that Spanish is really what helped me kind of land that job because they truly needed a translator and they truly needed someone who could read the business documents, who could do the Zoom meetings, who could be like, hey, we would go to Spain every like 3-4 months when I worked there, because that's right when they were kickstarting the program to be like, okay, when the Bears play there, we kind of need a go-to person to serve as a translator and someone who can really understand the business needs of both sides. And it was really cool because I was the one who kind of implemented, and I'll totally brownie points on this one. The Bears started doing Spanish emails. They have a full app in Spanish now for fans who might be targeted internationally. And they also do SMS now fully in Spanish. And it's still, even though I've left, like that still happens. So that's super cool to kind of see an American sport be very much internationally recognized and be kind of used as in a Spanish way, especially now in the US as we see Spanish as a growing language. A lot of people actually subscribe to only the Spanish communication, even if you are US based. So that was a great metric for us to kind of be like, this is important. It's growing your database, it's growing your fandom. It's getting more people to go to games. So that was great. Realized Chicago was not for me. It was too cold as a desert girl and someone who lived in Dallas for a while. So I moved to Miami. My brother was in school there. Again, another big Spanish speaking culture. So it was super great to feel very comfortable kind of being a part of that because you already knew how to talk to people and you weren't scared about meeting new people. And again, the Dolphins are another big market who do, they're more also Portuguese because of the Brazilian side, but they also market in Spain and trying to grow into Latin America is kind of the closest team and easier flight to get to. And the cool thing about working at Hard Rock Stadium is they also do tennis, college football, NFL, and F1. And that F1 was a really big one for us to be able to kind of market using different languages because you have fans all over the world. We also had a whole sales team there of Spanish speakers. So if you were calling like with questions, you could be like, do you want English or Spanish? So that was super great. Definitely Miami was a bigger hub for Spanish speakers, so you had a lot more support there for Spanish speakers. But again, it's the reason that like I was able to move there, continue that employment because they really wanted more people with that background in Spanish and being comfortable to translate or not needing to Google Translate everything or you really get more people to trust you. And I think that's something that's really important now. So I'm back in Dallas now getting my MBA. So it's kind of a cool full circle to come back to SMU and like be able to share everything I did. Getting my MBA, not fully sure yet, tough job market again, what's happening post grad, but hoping to kind of go into more marketing, business management. And again, it's a world that people want to see you in the recruiting process speak different languages. And that's like a big kind of differentiator now that I see when I'm going through the recruiting process. Is like when I say, yeah, I speak multiple languages, it's like it's a big perk.
But I came to SMU in 2019 knowing that I wanted to study a language that would take me somewhere one day. I knew for sure I wanted to study a language that would be applicable to the career path that I wanted. So I began to, I chose French because I was very interested in the luxury industry, fashion and accessories, and high-end hospitality. So by making that choice to study French in SMU, I feel like I really am where I am today. So I did the Aix-en-Provence study abroad program with Professor Buckley and Jenna, and I think 2022, it was absolutely amazing. I went from being able to write papers in French and read books or watch movies in French to actually being able to speak French colloquially in day-to-day life, speak at restaurants, speak the way that young people in France speak. That was my biggest takeaway from the program. I also had an internship as part of the study abroad. We took classes, but I went to Marseille every day to work at a luxury swimsuit company, which was super cool. No one in the office spoke English. So if there was anything I had questions about, I really, really had to learn French. So it was a little bit out of necessity that my French improved a lot through that program. Um, Not only did my French improve, though, I just really had a huge appreciation for French culture, the way that people in the south of France live and work. I knew that that was something that I wanted again one day. And so after that program, I started my senior year at SMU, knowing that my previous marketing internships, I really wanted to stay in the world of marketing, but I wanted a bit of a niche. So I decided to look at programs for luxury brand management, which aren't super common in America. So I was looking at programs in Paris and in Monaco, and I found a program in Monaco at the International University of Monaco. And I feel like I really felt a good fit with the program, how it could help me educationally and professionally to be able to really fuse my marketing and French background with the niche I wanted to go to, which is the luxury industry. And so the whole program was in English, but I absolutely would not have been able to do that year-and-a-half program if I didn't already speak French. And it also made my French better postgraduate, which was amazing. But just the day-to-day things that if any of you guys are in language classes right now and you're reading a book and you're like, oh my gosh, why am I having to do a whole chapter on banking vocabulary? Trust me, it really comes in handy when you're trying to open a bank account in a foreign country. So I really appreciated the nitty gritty that we got into during the classes at SMU. I'm sure everyone here can appreciate that. But it's also just being in a different country and having an influence or a reason for people to take you more seriously because you speak the language of the country that you're in. It really helped me throughout school to create rapport with professors and other students. And it also helped me to get an internship in Monaco, which looking for a job post grad you're kind of prioritized less if you're not from that country or if you're not from the EU already. So by being able to differentiate myself from other Americans who didn't speak French and did have a harder time living abroad because they didn't speak another language, I was able to get an internship in Monaco, and I got to work on clients who were French, which was amazing. Everyone at the office spoke English, of course. We conducted in English daily, but I was able to be one of the Americans that worked on French accounts, which I wouldn't have gotten to do if I didn't speak French. So after that, like I said, I love France. I love Monaco, but for the long term, I knew I wanted to be back in the US, but I didn't want to give up the whole year and a half of studying in the luxury industry, speaking French, engaging with French culture daily. And so I am very happy with the job I have now. I just started a position as a marketing coordinator at Hotel Swexen in Dallas. It's a new boutique hotel. If you guys haven't visited it yet, you have to. It's exactly what I wanted in a career path. It's a hotel that Swexen, it stands for Swiss Hospitality meets Texan Charm. So I feel like that's really the journey I've been on in the last 5 years of my life. So I've been able to use what I've learned engaging in high-end hospitality classes and things like that in my luxury degree in Monaco. I've been able to use that for inspiration for the hotel and my marketing. Also just knowing the Dallas area, that's helped me a lot. So I do still use, funny enough, my French on the daily, even though I'm back in Dallas, helping. There's a lot of French terminology and the copy of the hotel and in the area, the Harwood area as a whole. And so I'm able to kind of tell people how to pronounce it, shed some light into what that means, add some elegance into the copy for the hotel through my knowledge of French. So it's been a great experience. I would not be where I am today if I did not study French, do these study abroads, and live in a foreign country. There's nothing that teaches you better or quicker than being surrounded by an international group of students, being able to learn how to think of a classroom as something bigger than just yourself and realize that there's people's perspective from all different places, and that really enriched my life and that really enriched the career path I went down. And so, yeah, I will.
Hello, my name is Jenna. I was a finance and French major at SMU, graduated, I guess, 2 years ago, 2023. Guess I'll start from where my French interest started, my love for French. I chose it in middle school. All my siblings chose Spanish, but I kind of, I guess, wanted to be different. So I chose a different language, ended up affecting my life completely. Live in Paris right now, and it's because of my love for French and just my journey over all these years. So I continued doing through high school, came to SMU in 2019, decided to do finance and also French. And I studied abroad in X. It was a great experience. Come back and senior year, we finish up and we're all applying to jobs, postgraduate. And I, of course, try to apply to all these finance jobs where I never got accepted. I was like, you know what, maybe this is a sign. I don't know. It made me really rethink about where I was going to go postgraduate. And I was always so scared of being kind of behind in life and being, okay, I'm not going to start my finance job. So it worries me, but actually it was probably one of the better choices I've made in my life coming over here. So I did a TPIF program, so teaching English in France. Yeah, so got placed in Paris, which was very, very lucky. I didn't even know where. I just chose different locations and ended up being placed in Paris, which was amazing. I fell in love with the city immediately when I came over, and just being able to speak the French language as well helps you kind of immerse into just the culture and being able to make friends and whatnot. But so my program was ending and I knew I wanted to stay. So kind of the path to staying here from TPIF would be doing a master's program. So I was like, you know what, I'll do a master's. So I'm at Schema right now doing a master's in corporate financial management. And just recently got accepted to do an internship here in the summer at EY. So it all kind of led in a perfect path, but I speak French every day. It's really just being able to speak the language kind of opens doors in so many different areas and ways, and I fell in love with the culture.
So a lot of it is just like faking it till you make it, saying you can do it until someone finally believes you and lets you do it. And the easiest way to do that is to be applying for these sorts of marketing positions. If you're going to do business, for instance, marketing positions, research positions that require a native American English speaker, because they want that cultural aspect. And that's actually the way the government will give you the visa the easiest, because you are the only person who can do that. No other people of priority, you know, German citizens, recent immigrants, EU citizens, they can't do that. They can't give that cultural aspect and that native fluency. And so they are looking for that in these sorts of positions abroad. But then for academic perspectives, I mean, this is something you can be doing before you know, post uni, post undergraduate, pre-graduate programs. Like if you took a year off to do a Fulbright in a teaching thing, or to just like take a year to travel, you could be doing translations, you know, creating a website, putting your, you know, applying to translation jobs and things like that, and that goes on your CV. And I mean, that just like helps buff up your CV. The fact that I'm a published translator and I have a book coming out that I translated with University of Toronto Press, like uplifts my CV drastically for someone my age in the academic community. Because
For me, the translation piece was truly because as a league, the NFL was trying to like expand their fandomship. So for me, it was, I mean, luck of the draw, very lucky to like enter that industry because it is a tough one to get into. Like you have to gain trust, obviously, because if you're the only person who knows the language in that office space, like you are the go-to person. In Miami, for sure, it was I think a big point of just like I was a number. So, like, you know, almost like 300 people worked there because you had so many business units and a lot more people spoke Spanish there. But when people see that you're able to make that kind of a conversational piece and not just a business need, like that's a big part too. Because if someone came in like, hey, we're really interested in bringing this tennis event here, but they felt more comfortable talking in Spanish, like you're kind of building that relationship instead of it just being a business negotiation. You're kind of like getting to know someone and you can have that small talk, which is really important because they'll kind of trust you more. So for me, it was definitely more of that trust and how can I make sure that you'll come back to me and trust me to write your paper or email or this, you know, salary negotiation contract for someone who wants to be there just as much as you need them, but making them feel more comfortable.
Abroad, there's also a huge plus to being able to speak English natively too. That really makes you an asset to the people in the country that you're in. For example, when I had an internship at an English speaking company based in Monaco. So, for example, when we were doing prospecting, we were really involved in the yachting industry. And a lot of that is in Europe, but there's also a huge growing market in America too. And so the team trusted me to use our existing materials in French and our contacts in France and Monaco to translate those into English, American English, make sure that those were all right. Also, just I knew the geography of America and I was able to know how people in the southern US would speak versus in the northeastern US. And so my team really appreciated that I was able to do that. And when you are prospecting and you meet a contact who is also from America and you're at the Monaco Yacht Show, for example, they're really inclined to want to talk to you because you're a native English speaker. Of course, like speaking another language in another country, that really helped me a lot to establish credibility with the native speakers there, but also using my English was a really big asset. A lot of people, yes, are hesitant to study abroad to miss out on a work opportunity or something to put on their CV, but there's so much more to put on your CV and to make yourself a really great candidate besides purely just work experience. I mean, I think that for me, I don't think I'd be where I am now or have the aspirations I have for the future if I wasn't able to take a step back and realize that like one of the best things I do have going for me is the fact that I was able to go to a foreign country by myself and go to a school with 86 different nationalities and make friends and learn how to live in a foreign country and deal with the French government. Yeah, so I think there's, if you're hesitant about studying abroad, just do it. If you have time in a semester, amazing. If you just have time for summer, amazing. If it's one of those 2-week programs, do it. You will get so much out of it. And everyone that I know who did study abroad still talks about it to this day.
Well, if you're interested in living abroad, even for, a year after you graduate, there's so many positions and so many ways to get into a country that you don't learn about until you're in the country. So spending even 5 weeks somewhere for a summer program is going to allow you to learn so much about that country's industry, that it would be really difficult to kind of find out on the internet, because it's much easier to garner that information when you're in the country. But if I could do anything differently at SMU, I would have taken a semester rather than a summer. I would have made it work, and I think I could have made it work. I would have had to given up some of my social life, sure, but coming to the UK specifically, where undergraduate programs are only 3 years, taking half a year out of your 4-year program to go abroad is like, will probably actually be the best thing you do if you can make it happen.
I think SMU is a great place because you're going to have so many options. I mean, in grad school alone, I've been able to go to Korea. I've done GLP in Copenhagen, Stockholm. We did a weekend class in Mexico City, and that's only within a year. So I think like just as an academic institution, they're very big on you learning those skills, because like cross-cultural collaboration is such a big part of your professional career now, and you're going to see it no matter what industry you're in. And something I've seen in the job search is like they really want you to have that, because now with Dallas being such a hot spot for the job market, you could have coworkers from wherever. And like being able to be comfortable in working with them and having that teamwork flexibility and being able to communicate with them, whether it's just in English, is a really big plus. And it does like differentiate you when you're kind of going through that recruitment process. Um,
I guess one of the top ones is patience. When either speaking the language or listening to other people.
Like if you know a language or you've had the opportunity to be in a different country for a little bit, like talk about it. Like people want to know these things about you because it makes you unique and it's like what they'll remember about you. And that's something like that took me months to realize. But like people want to know, like, hey, if you did a site visit at Microsoft in Korea, like people want to hear about that. And they're like, oh, like you probably learned something that a lot of people don't have access to. Just being more like open-minded, like you kind of understand how different cultures in different countries, like how people grow up or just like their day to day or like even just the social life is like a very different thing. I think for me, it was just a better way to like understand how different people like build relationships and want to like get to know you, and just being able to like communicate, even if it is in English or, whatever language, like they really just want to get to know you. And I think that's the beauty of kind of going through that steps is when you're more open-minded, people trust you more and they want to like kind of rely on you and like
I found that you can drop me in any country in Europe and I can understand, because there's so much crossover in languages, particularly in the Eastern regions. And often I find myself in Poland because I'm a Holocaust researcher, so I have to go to the archives there. And I actually speak German to all the Poles because like half the Poles can speak German, at least decent enough for me to get around because I don't speak Polish. But then I know enough Polish now that I can get around other kind of like cognate languages in the further recent Eastern regions. So it's like the more time you spend in Europe, the more you're using your languages, the more you're able to pick up the similarities in other languages that help you just like get around and also help you pick up those languages quicker than you might realize.
How speaking in other languages has helped me understand the culture of the place that I'm at. When you are able to relate to someone in their native language, they appear nicer than they might have. There's this trope of, oh, the mean Parisians. And that might have been true when I visited Paris when I only spoke English. But once you go there and you're able to converse with people and, be a little more patient with them, and they're also more patient with you because you're meeting them where they are, I feel like you're able to understand their culture of hospitality, their culture of maybe taking things easier than we do in America. That really rubbed off on me. That was an amazing thing that I learned while living, especially in the south of France. They're a little more laid back, and I'm able to take that back to Dallas with me. So all those things I wouldn't have been able to understand about French people and French culture if I didn't speak the language and was able to relate to people on their level.